All right, people, what is going on? This is episode 254 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller, and I got a lot to talk about this episode, and I hope you guys stick around. It's a lot going on. A lot of surprising things are happening right now within the Atlanta Falcons organization, which a lot of people kind of saw coming, but based on the way that this season has turned out, very surprised that they're still hanging around. Also, we're going to talk about Georgia Southern football. Not too many people have been talking about the defense over there, so I'm going to talk about the type of makeup this defense is going to have and where we're going to go defensively. Like I said, Coach Helton basically bought a hope of a better, more potent, more efficient offense. But, the guys that he bought him on defense are like really, really interesting. So we're going to talk about those guys as well. But before we get into all that, I want to really, remember the legacy of John Madden. He passed away at the age of 85, lived a long, illustrious life. The man was football. He was the type that always talked and gave knowledge and gave insight on the game of football. I mean, not even just in the NFL, because most people know about him in the NFL, but he revered college and high school as well. He really felt that high school was a big and integral part of the NFL. And in some cases, if you look at it, without high school, they may not be in the NFL, because a lot of these kids develop their talents from the high school rankings. But with him and Pat Summerall together, those are some of the best football moments of my upbringing. I used to look forward to listening to those two put together a masterful commentating I don't even know how to say it correctly. A masterful job commentating the games on Sundays. I mean, those two are the best. I mean, I to this day, I don't even think there's anyone close to doing the job as well as they did. Like I say, you have some others out here who do a good job, but I don't think there's anything close to that. So, the video games, all that stuff, I think every child who loved football played a John Madden football game, or they watched their friends play it. I'm a big fan of the John Madden football series. Despite the way things have gone the last few years, I still, I'm still a big fan of the series, and it's just really, it's kind of bittersweet at the end of the day that even though that. He's gone and it really sucks, but the fact that he lived the life that he lived, I'm pretty sure he was able to do everything that he wanted to do. I basically did a whole, remembrance on my VFcast channel. The link will be down in the description if you want to check that video out. That's on my gaming channel if you want to check that out. And it is, it's a sad day in the NFL, but it's a good day is a good time to celebrate the life of John Madden. One of the best to ever do it, if not the best. Iconic figure that crossed over to outside of the sports world, where everybody knew who he was. Everybody knew, even if you didn't like football, you knew who he was, and it's just, it was just phenomenal to see him live his life through the, and watch his life and documentary of his life and understanding the person who he was. He lived and breathed football, and it's good to see people that love the sport that I love the sport, that love the sport the way I do, actually was able to show the world and let people know his intelligence of the sport, getting people involved and learning more about the sport. It's just a beautiful thing. So, like I said, I did a whole, I think it was like a 40-minute, remembrance of John Madden on my VFcast channel. You guys could check that out if you like. The link will be down in the description. And for you guys that are on the podcast side of things, just go to YouTube, type in VFcast. It should pop right on up, and you can check it out then. I do plan on making that podcast actually, out there syndicated so people can get it just like they do this podcast as well. So that may be in the works. I'm not really 100% sure if I'm going to do it, but that may be in the works as well, where I can have the VFcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor, all the other good stuff. Speaking of that, if you're listening to this on those platforms, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. If you don't mind, give this a rating. Let people know what type of content I do. Share this. If you're on the YouTube side of things, hit the like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And let's get into the rest of the show. The Falcons, the Falcons are actually looking at the playoffs. I've been looking at some of the press conferences, and there's a lot of coach speak and players speak where, you don't want to sound like you're tanking or whatever the case may be, or you don't want to sound like you're just giving up or whatever it is. The Falcons are 7-8 right now, which I did not think that they were going to be able to get anywhere close to this record after everything that's happened. The beginning of the season, I said they're going to be 9-8. That was all things considering with, people, being healthy. You're going to have a little banged up players here and there. But at the end of the day, I really felt that this team would have been 9-8. So I sat here and I looked at everything the way it was, and you saw things start to fall apart. The offensive line wasn't as good as you thought it was. The running game is where it needs to be. Kyle Pitts has come out and was able to play the way he played. He's eyeing over 1,000 yards now, so he's just as good as advertised, in my opinion. But you look at some of the other draft picks, the Jalen Mayfields, the Richie Grants, the Darren Halls, Avery Williams, Taquan Graham. You don't hear too much about them. And you hear a little bit about, a lot about Jalen Mayfield because he's starting on the offensive line. Richie Grant, you heard a lot about him as well. And I think Avery Williams have done pretty good on special teams, so you have heard about him as well. But all the other ones, you don't hear much, so that's like 4 out of the 7 draft picks, which is not too bad. But I think a lot of people wanted to see them make a bigger impact, which I understand it. But when you're looking at a situation with rookies coming in, most rookies don't make that kind of impact. I mean, you even talking about some guys who were drafted in the top 10 this year and in years past of other teams just don't make an impact right away. You don't see that type of impact until like year 2. Until like year 2. And I mean, that's where you get the AJ Terrells come in. I mean, AJ Terrell it turned out to be pretty phenomenal. Deion Jones has done pretty good his rookie year, but once that second season came, you start to see these guys take off, or the case may be. Grady Jarrett's another one. I mean, he was a 5th round pick. You didn't see much out of him, but you slowly but surely started to see him come into his own. I mean, unless if you got some of these guys who were just overtly gifted that's going to be drafted in like the top 10 and they're like surefire picks, those are the ones that's going to like make an impact. Like you look at Matt Ryan, he made an impact immediately. Julio Jones immediately. A lot of these first round picks, I think Roddy Wright was a first round pick. He kind of got into his own in the later stages of his first rookie year, but he started to come his own later on. So most of these impact players that are rookies right away, you rarely see it. Like, look at Kyle Pitts. And in some cases, Kyle Pitts was in a situation where he had to step up because of the Calvin Ridleys of the world who stepped away from the game. And it's just a phenomenal job that he was able to do so. And he's doing a pretty good job. You don't see too much of that. And it's a good thing at the end of the day. And I love to see the fact that, overall, this team collectively is still pulling things together. Yeah, they may not be winning games against elite teams, but they're winning games that, quite frankly, they probably shouldn't win regardless. A few of these wins that they got that are 7-win game out of the 7 wins, some of this team is not as good as some of the teams that they beat, and they beat them anyway. I mean, you look at the Dolphins right now; they're on a 7-game winning streak. I mean, I think we were able to beat them. I think we beat them. I'm not. Hold on. Let me go back and look. Let me go back and look before I start lying. Man, I can't even remember. This is where I got my notes up, but I'm not holding up like the way it should. But yeah, I think they ended up beating them. I think it was 30-28 or something like that. Let me look and see. Yeah, they won 30-28. So, the Dolphins at the time were quote unquote a bad team, but they're the same team that are winning games now. So it is all about what teams you play and when you beat them at what time. So now they're going up against the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, they're going up to Buffalo, but I mean, the Bills have a hard time getting to the quarterback and stopping the run. Now, we're not good at running the ball either, but we'll see how that goes. And we're also playing the Saints, and we just saw the Saints get embarrassed by that same Miami Dolphins team. So we got a good chance to win out. We also have a good chance of making the playoffs if other teams falter. Do I think we'll make the playoffs? No, I don't think we'll make the playoffs. That's just my personal opinion. After losing the 49ers game, that game stuck with us, and it's going to stick with us for the rest of the season, where if we would have won that game, it would have been a totally different situation. But we're going to talk about the Falcons and Bills later on in the week, and we're really going to get into that as well. Also, I will be making an announcement. Probably, I might as well just say it now before I segue into the rest of the Atlanta Falcons stuff. There's going to be a change to this episode. I mean, if you watched the last video I did, definitely you would know. Basically, starting at the beginning of the year, eyeing on January 3rd, this show will be a daily show. This will be a daily show. I won't be doing this on Wednesdays. These episodes will be uploaded to Spotify and Anchor and iTunes, so you guys can get the gist of where this is going. This is going to be a show that's going to be on every day, every morning around the same time, 9:00 every morning, where you can get this information. So if you want to, subscribe to the YouTube channel, or if you want to subscribe to the platforms on the podcast, you can do so, and you'll be able to get daily shows. Because I mean, I was doing First and Frame Rate minis, I was doing all the other daily stuff, like actual daily videos. I just decided to roll all that into one. Like I said in my other video, doing less but giving you guys more. So I'm going to do less content as far as making a video, doing something, the minis on the Patreon, and doing all this stuff here, and just roll it all into one for you guys to get this on a daily basis. So if you guys want this content, hit the subscribe button. You guys will be getting all access to that content. For the people that are on Patreon, you guys will continue to get an extra episode starting next month. That episode will probably be on the weekend. The details of that are to come at a later time. So we'll see how that goes at that point. So that's how that's going to be. Looking at the Falcons eyeing the playoffs, once again, I'm actually surprised with this team. I think Coach Arthur Smith, done a pretty good job overall. I'm just really surprised with the way the things, honestly, we looking at this from the outside looking at it, look like everything is falling apart, but these guys are coming up every day like, yo, we got another chance to do something. And I'm actually, impressed. I'm very impressed. Doing what Coach Smith and company is doing with the talent that he has year one, this is nothing short of phenomenal in my opinion. I mean, this team won 4 games last year. They're on the verge of probably doubling that at the least. I think they're going to at least win one of these next 2 games. The Falcons play the Bills, and they play the Saints. I think they're more than capable of winning one of these games easily. So at the end of the day, I thought they were going to go 9-8. It looked like they're going to pretty go 8-9, doubling the total of wins. So when you do that, you double the total from 4 games to 8 games, and you have this staff of players on the field. once Arthur Smith gets a full season under his belt and actually be able to evaluate talent, get the guys that he really wants in, got a year of coaching under his belt, so he kind of got a feel of what it's like to be a head coach, getting that stuff together. Now you're looking at him in year 2, may I dare say, win 11 games next year, win 12 games next year. Is it really, I know I'm looking far down the road, and we will definitely discuss this at a later time, but is it far-fetched to think that? Honestly, 4 wins with pretty much the same roster. 4 wins to 8 wins with pretty much the same roster. You get some more guys in here through free agency. You bring some of these guys back who played hard. Those guys get experience. You get a few more pieces that'll help out through free agency in the draft. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think 11 to 12 wins is, I don't think it's far-fetched. But we'll talk about that at a different time. But like I said, I think these guys, the Atlanta Falcons, I think they're ascending instead of descending. I think what these guys have done are, this was a really good job by the coaching staff. Will there be any coaching changes? Maybe. I don't know. I'm just thinking about it, just being prepared. What may happen? You got to think about it. Dean Pease came out of retirement. Will he be up for it again next season? I don't want to, necessarily put it out there thinking that may happen, but I'm just looking at it from an ideal standpoint. It's not, it's not unrealistic to think that way, to be honest with you. If he didn't retire, if he wasn't in retirement before, I wouldn't say that. But, when people come out of retirement like that, you got to take things like that on a year by year basis. You just don't know. You know what I mean? You don't know what they may feel, especially with Dean Pease is, he's at the age now where look, I don't necessarily need to do this. I was retired at one point. I would hate to see it happen, but these are the things that as a fan, I try to be prepared for so I don't be blindsided and be thinking oh man, what's going on? So with everything in place right now and the moves that Arthur Smith and Dean Pease and everybody else trying to make, like I said, we have to look at everything on both sides. But right now, it looks like this team is primed to win double-digit wins next year. You make some moves, you get some things some guys in the trenches that are willing to push some people around. You get some guys who are willing to get open in the passing game to help Kyle Pitts and Russell Gage. You still continue to find ways to use Cordell Patterson the way that he's been used and find more creative ways to have him more efficient so he don't have to do so much, but still be as effective. Man, we're probably looking at a situation where this team could win that many games, but we'll talk about that down the road. They're still looking at the playoffs picture. They're going to need some help though. They're just going to need help, and we're going to see. They play the Bills on the 2nd of January. I will be doing the pre and post game outlook on that. So you guys be on the lookout for that as well. That's going to be a pretty tough task for them. The Saints and the Falcons game on January 9th, it's a rivalry game, and anything can happen. That looks like it's a win right now because the Saints don't have a quarterback, but it's a rivalry game. They played us tough in the Superdome a few weeks back, and we came back and won that game. They're coming to Mercedes-Benz, which is not necessarily an ideal place for the Falcons to win games, and it's a rivalry game, so we don't know what may happen. Hopefully they can win that game, but I have high confidence that they're going to win at least one of these 2 games. So that's basically how I feel about that, and let's see how the Falcons do. Before I go into the Georgia Southern stuff, I want to give you guys another heads up. The show is going to be a daily show starting January 3rd. You guys could check it out as far as being on YouTube on this channel. Also, if you're on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, any other podcast platform that you like to use, check it out. I will be over there on a daily basis, so you can listen to this on your way to work, or when you get off of work, you can hear the updates I have on the Atlanta Falcons and Georgia Southern football. So this will be a daily show. Will this show be around the 25-30 minute mark? I don't know yet. It just depends on how I do the content. It is yet to be determined. But 9 a.m. every morning, I plan on having this up for you guys to listen to Monday through Friday, basically. The weekend is going to be a situation where I may do an extra episode. I'll be doing the pre-post game show or whatever the case may be. But the extra episode is going to be for the Patreon members. If you guys decide to pledge on Patreon or whatever the case may be. And like I said, I may have other content over there as well as far as the weekends go. So check that out. Monday through Friday, starting 9 a.m. every morning. I will be having a daily show of the First and Premier Show, talking Atlanta Falcons and Georgia Southern football. All right, let's get into Georgia Southern football. The defensive outlook on the Georgia Southern Eagles is something that's not really talked about enough. We did talk about Will Harris getting named. Well, he's named the defensive coordinator for Georgia Southern. I did a video about talking about Will Harris, knowing that he was the defensive back coach. I think he was the defensive back coach for the Washington Huskies, and he's done a very good job with the Washington Huskies, having them one of the most elite defenses in the country. Always, not even say always, but he was one of the guys that continued to develop defensive backs for the Washington Huskies. And, these guys have done a phenomenal job at keeping an elite defense. And not only that, he's bringing other guys to the table. He's brought in let me see if I say this right. Elwyn Rip Rowan brought him in as a defensive line coach. He had experience at the Power 5 level as well, being at places like Washington, being at places, where else has he gone? I think he was in other places as well. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be wrong, but it looks like he was at Washington. So he was along with Will Harris. So he's bringing more guys with him. Like, basically, Georgia Southern is bringing the entire Washington defense with him. He's the defensive line coach. And once again, he was Washington continuously being one of the top programs in defense for Washington. So those guys are coming over. They just going to continue to bring up much more of the defense that they had there, bringing it here. And that's something that we really need. I think our front seven has already been pretty good, but to bring these guys along and bringing a guy like Will Harrison, him along with Kevin Whitley, bringing those two right there, I can't wait to see what those two can bring to the table. Their knowledge, like the pedigree of a Will Harris with the knowledge and the ties to Georgia that Kevin Whitley has, bringing in not in just Georgia, but this entire Southeast region, bringing defensive backs in. I think that's one thing. I think we're going to have a phenomenal secondary within the years to come. I think we already had a really good one, but it's going to be great with those two guys. Now, when we talk about the front seven, the defensive line coach, Rip Rowan was a part of a defense that allowed about 22, 23 points a game, and they average over 5 tackles for a loss. So even with the guys that we already have in our front seven, bringing this type of pedigree to the team is going to be really, really good to see. And with that type of pressure, you're going to get, good secondary play, because these two parts of the defense complement each other very well. If you get pressure on the quarterback, you can disrupt the running game. It's going to make the defense play a lot, or not defense, it's going to make the secondary play a lot better, because either one or two things. They're not going to have to cover as much, or you're going to get some erratic passes where they can get turnovers out of. So those are the type of things you would want. Also at linebacker coach, who do we bring in at linebacker coach? Aaron Schwantz as linebacker coach. So this guy, he's the one that's been all over the place. Forgive me, I thought it was Rip, but he has multiple stops at Power 5 schools. He was a part of the LSU National Championship team, which is really, really interesting as well. He's been I think he was with Midwestern State. He was with UTEP, and he was also a part of Wisconsin staff as assistant coaching outside linebackers. So he's been a lot of places. He's also played. I'm not saying he played. He also with Southeastern Louisiana, linebacker special teams coordinator. Like I said, he has a lot of experience. So now we're looking at the linebackers. You look at guys like Eldrick Robertson. You look at some of the guys that we're bringing in. I mean, we're bringing in some pretty good talent already on top of the guys that we already had at linebacker. So we're looking at a defense. This defense could be really, really good. Canteen's coming back. You still got a Mark Stampley who's been recruited. You got Ashton Whitner that is here. You got a couple of other guys that have been playing pretty good. Quinn Williams. The list can go down on and on. One guy, man, I hope we did get a tight end. We're getting a couple of tight ends that are going to be on the team. Man, Sean Pell-Kissin. I hope this defense of the defensive staff can see the talent, what this kid has. Bring him over to defense. I cannot say this enough. Bring him over to the defensive line and have him play. Hey, look, I don't care if you can put him at linebacker. Put this kid on defense. This guy looks and he's ready to rip people's heads off when he plays defense. And I already talked about it. I don't want to go too far with that, but man, look, this defensive staff looks really good. The Schwantz, the Will Harris, Rip Rowan, you have Kevin Whitley, and other guys that are under that umbrella. And the talent, the one thing about it, people could talk a lot about our secondary and how bad it was last year. It was bad. I'm not going to sit here and defend it. I mean, I was one of the ones saying what in the world was going on. I was at the Gardner-Webb game and I was like, why Gardner-Webb is passing the ball all over us like this? Then I realized that the secondary just was not where it needed to be. And then when Derek Canteen went down, that made it, even worse. We did have a couple of guys step up. Najee Thompson moved over to defense, which I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with him as well, because not only that he's good on offense, defense, and special team, that kid has a phenomenal football mind. I want to see what they do with that, with him, not just on the football field, but after football as well. That kid possibly could be a really good coach somewhere. He knows a lot about the sport. I'm very, very impressed with him. But when you look at everything that we have as far as personnel on the field and what we have now, it's going to be. I want to see where this goes. I think we're going to have a very, very good defense, very good. And like I said, the secondary, for what it was just lackluster. And this is one of the reasons why we brought in guys that are ready to go. I think that Ashton Whitner, I think this kid is going to be great in the secondary. I can see him playing free or strong safety and being a leader of the secondary easily. Him and Derek Canteen feeding off each other. Mark Stampley, not college, but high school player of the year. We brought him in. With those three guys alone, I can't wait to see how this goes for this defense. I don't know if Derek Canteen is using redshirt year. Is he still going to have the eligibility? So he's going to have another year to play with these guys, an extra year to play with these guys. And it's going to be really, I'm going to be here for that. I can't wait to see how that goes. Now, when you look at the linebackers, you look at a Kadri Jackson, you look at Eldrick Robertson, the guys that we bought in. I can't even name all the guys that we bought in as far as, I just can't name all the names. I can't remember. But all the guys that we bought in as far as our recruiting class, it was a really big deal. Bringing some of those guys in, they've done so well as far as the talent. I can't even remember the name off all the names that we bought in, but we got like 4 or 5, guys that play linebacker, that can play linebacker. We got some guys on the defensive line that can play good football. I mean, some real physical guys. We did get the transfer from North Carolina, so Kadri Jackson is going to have his teammate back from North Carolina. You got Kevon Glenn is still here. Like I said, I hope Sean Pell-Kisson goes on the defense. And one person who stands out who's coming back, Dylan Springer's coming back to play one more year. So we have a plethora of players who can play football. They can play. And it's going to be really interesting to see how these guys come through and are actually mesh with the coaching staff, the defensive coaching staff. See what those guys are going to do with this team and this talent. We're going to go more in depth on more of the recruiting class, especially when the second part of the signing day comes up within the coming months. Definitely going to get into everybody who's been recruited. And who's been signed. And we're really going to get into that because I did a video about that. I think I did an episode about it not too long ago about this entire staff, or not the staff, but the entire recruiting class. And like I said, we got a lot of guys. I think one name, I can't remember all of them, but I remember like Kevin Speed is another one. I mean, he could do a lot of things. I don't know where they're going to put him. He's like a Swiss Army knife. I mean, he could play quarterback. He could play running. I mean, he probably could play running back. You see him, he's listed as an outside linebacker, but he could do a little bit of everything, so I don't know where they're going to put him as well. And it's going to be really, really cool to see how that plays out. It's going to be interesting. As far as the rest of the team offensively, I'm going to be talking about those again, once again, later on down the road. But not too many people talk about the defensive side of the ball when it came to Georgia Southern. I mean, we didn't know what was going on. All we knew was Clay Helton coming in. You had the Ryan Applin, come in, Brian Ellis. You had those guys coming in. And we were just talking about, okay, what the offense is going to be like. Because the offense was like such a big deal at Georgia Southern. Leaving the triple option to a more of a balanced attack. We're going to basically see a shakeup in offense. But at the same time, nobody really talked about the defense. So when you have, Rip Rowan, you have the Will Harris, the Aaron Schwans, those guys coming in. It's going to be really cool to see how these guys mesh with the personnel on the field. It's going to be really cool to see. Before I go, I will say this. Ephraim Reed was the running backs coach. He is going back to Michigan State. We did pick up another running back coach. I can't remember his name. This is all new. Let me see if I can pick this up. Sorry for the hold up. All right, let's see. Sorry about the hold up. I'm just sitting here trying to get this together. Yes, here it is right here. Matt Merritt. He will be the running back coach for Georgia Southern after Ephraim Reed has left. So he's the former running back coach of James Madison and Elon. How you guys doing over there, Elon? Man, Georgia Southern versus Elon, man. We used to do some things to that team, man. That's crazy. But nevertheless, we're going to see how that plays out. Also, for Georgia Southern, we have the wide receiver coach, Marcus Davis, coming from Hawaii. That's going to be pretty cool to see how that plays out as well. We got a handful of wide receivers that we picked up too. So it's going to be really cool to see how that plays out. So that's basically what's going on now. The football staff is looking pretty good right now. Can't wait to see how everything goes. Defensively is what we're eyeing today. And I think we're going to have a pretty good staff. So I think it's going to be a really good season. I can't wait. I'm going to be going to a few games next year. I'm definitely excited. I can't wait. 8.5 months until football season starts. Man, I'm going to have to get as much information as possible, and you will get as much information as possible for me. My commentary, my thoughts and opinions, all the way up to signing day, the spring practice, to the first game of the season. We're going to be talking about all of that. Also, we're going to continue to be talking about these Atlanta Falcons. Those guys are looking at the playoffs, actually. I don't think they're going to make it, but it's good to continue to strive for the best. So that's going to conclude the rest of this show. That's going to be the end of the show. I thank you guys for making it this far. If you listen this far, give me a rating on your favorite platform that you listen to this. Once again, I am on YouTube. If you're listening to this, you already know. But if not, I am on YouTube under First and Frame Rates. Check that out. You Google that. I should pop right on up. Also, if you want to listen to me outside of the YouTube realm, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor. You can listen to any of those areas. I will be there. And announcement, like I said, I will be doing these shows daily. It should be up every day at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. Saturday, I'll be doing an extra episode for the guys on Patreon, and I'll be doing probably a little extra content for the channel as well. So hopefully you guys will check all of that out. Thank you guys. Once again, rest in peace, John Madden. If you want to listen to that, I have a 40-minute podcast episode of Remembering John Madden. You want to check that out? The link is in the description. Or if you're listening to this on the podcast avenue, just type in VFcast. I should pop right on up, where you can listen to my secondary channel where I talk about John Madden and I talk about gaming. All right, y'all. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. You guys be easy. You guys take care. Happy New Year. Be blessed. All right, y'all. Peace.